Musta kayo? Ito po, si Nico Fabian once again, nandito po sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. And sana lang po, today, Sunday, today is Sunday, August 3rd, no? August 3rd. And of course, don't forget our Sunday obligations for those embracing the Roman Catholic faith or mga Kristiyano po. Don't forget, we have our obligation, Sunday obligation, and I hope, and sana lang po, nakasimba na tayo po. Yun, wala pa na simba. You can still do it later in the evening po, or later this afternoon. And, eto po, nandito tayo sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, inviting all of you, ang mga kababayan ko po dito sa Pilipinas, o dyan sa Pilipinas, ang mga overseas Filipino workers natin po sa ibang parte ng mundo, ang mga overseas Filipino workers or mga kababayan ko po dito sa Malaysia, particularly dito po sa Sabah. I would like to say happy weekend sa ating lahat po. Happy blessed Sunday sa ating lahat din. Sige lang po, tuloy-tuloy lang tayo po ang programa natin. Maski na dami tayong mga problema dyan sa Pilipinas. But the problema lang yon. Every problem, there is always a solution. Huwag natin, don't be desperate po. Dahil, ang Panginoon, our Creator, will not give us a problem that we won't be able to solve. This is trials and tribulations na po sa buhay natin po. Be it personally, private experience natin, or be it ang problema ng bayan natin, ang problema ng Pilipinas. Ang problema ng Pilipinas. These are all part of life, and it all depends on sa sarili natin. It all depends individual. How you are going to face the problem. If you face the problem negatively, then the problem will stay with you. But if you face the problem on the positive attitude, then definitely the problem will no longer be a problem. Soon, if not too soon po. Di ba? Ganun lang yun po, no? Ganun lang yun. Pero sana lang po, yung mga problema ng Pilipinas, no? Mga problema ng Pilipinas, sana lang po, I hope that our elected leaders, our elected leaders who claim that they really love the Philippines, they are very concerned about the welfare and interest of the Filipinos, be it the present generation, the old generation, and the generations to come po. No? So I hope they will do their level best as what they promised during the campaign period or during the election campaign period po. So, ganito. Alright, wag na tayo mag-delay. Let's go straight to the point ang mga topics natin today. Our topics today is, one of the topics is that I just want to maybe briefly or give a little time po regarding some people are not happy with the, sabihin natin, appointment or election or being elected si Senator Rodante Marcoleta as the sabihin natin Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman. Why? We don't know. Some say, why is it give to Senator Dante Marcoleta? He is just a neophyte senator. Bakit? Masama ba yun? Masama ba yun? Is there something wrong if you are neophyte? And then given a committee that's very serious, and heading that committee, particularly itong Blue Ribbon Committee ng Senado, it based on, hindi po paka neophytes, not because you are neophyte. The basis on electing you unanimously to chair the Blue Ribbon Committee of the Senate is based on your qualification po. And knowing the fact that although he is a neophyte senator, but experience-wise po in this field, being a lawmaker po, he's been there in the Congress, House of Representatives for quite a long time. And he is a lawyer by profession, and not only as a lawyer, not only a ordinary a lawyer, but he has proven himself as a very, very effective, effective good lawyer po dyan sa Pilipinas. In fact, he's one of among the few good lawyers dyan po sa Pilipinas. You have seen him, how he do his work, how diligent, how sincere, how committed Senator Rodante Marcoleta in carrying out his duties and responsibilities, not only as a congressman, but as a lawyer and a good abiding citizen po. And now, he is a senator, which we should give him the chance to prove again po, to continue his good job po as a lawyer, as a lawmaker, as a bona fide citizens of the Philippines. Yari na kayo, Yari na kayo po, Yari na kayo ngayon dahil po si Senator Rodante Marcoleta hindi nagpili po when he carries out his duties and responsibilities. He doesn't choose po whether you are a senator, whether you are a politician, whether you are a lawyer, or a media personality, or an ordinary person po. He is willing to face you if there is a reason for him to face you po. Yun po. Kaya nga, sabi ko, dahan-dahan lang, no? Dahan-dahan lang tayo po. And we are very happy. I myself is very happy po that we have somebody in the Senate who is very qualified to handle, to chair the Blue Ribbon Committee of the Senate. Very qualified po, very qualified. And of course, just like me and the rest of the Filipinos, particularly those supporting Marcoleta, Senator Marcoleta po, and those Filipinos now who truly see the character, the capabilities of Senator Marcoleta po, we believe that he will do a very, very good job and he will not disappoint us as Filipinos po. For us giving him the mandate to represent us in the Senate po. And now, to make sure that everything runs well in the event, he will be conducting investigations po under his Blue Ribbon Committee po. We have seen before, chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee, how they conduct their investigation. This time around, we are expecting a professionally done work, totally different po. Totally different. That's how I look at it po. My own personal opinion. And I believe, I suppose, kayo din po, totally agree with how I feel or itong observation ko. And of course, I will be touching something about updates regarding ang issue ni Tatay Digong dyan po sa International Criminal Court. We heard in the social media, mainstream media, about some, kung mayroon man yan po, internal problems within the council. Si lawyer ni Tatay Digong, si attorney Nicholas Kaufman, and itong pamilya ni Tatay Digong po, especially itong issue now dyan sa social media referring to common law wife of Tatay Digong, si Madam Hanilet Avincenia. Si Avincenia. Later on po, we'll be touching on these things po. And of course, we'll be touching about mga corruption cases po. What is our very known politician po, who ran for president but he didn't make it. Is it for president? Yeah, but he didn't make it. And he's now back in politics. Si Manila Mayor Yorme po. There are a lot of issues ngayon po discovered by elected na Mayor of Manila, si Isko Moreno po. And this is one of the topic that we are going to touch. And I will be sharing you also a portion of the program, blogging program of Maharlika. Very known blogger po and based po dyan sa United States of America. But she's a Filipino po. No? Filipino by she converted ang citizenship niya po from Filipino to American citizens ngayon. And she has something to do with this thing. Also, I'm going to share with you the interview of a known broadcaster, anchor woman din, sa mga talk show po. And I'm referring to experience a media personality, si Karen Davila, who interviewed Chis Escudero on the issue of Dante Marcoleta. Karamihan ng mga tao po, or many of the Filipinos po, has expressed dissatisfaction the way Karen Davila raised the issue of Senator Dante Marcoleta doon ka sa interview with Senate President Chis Escudero. So, these are the issues that we are going to touch. But before I will go to these issues po, let me inform ang mga Filipinos, especially ang mga kababayan natin dyan po sa Mindanao, BARM areas, as well as very specific to the people of the province of Sulu. I have a news article here, and I would like to read this news article sa inyong lahat po, especially to the people of Sulu. It is a good news after withdrawing from the BARM, Bangsamoro Autonomous Region for Muslim Mindanao. Now they are already part of Region 9. Ano ba ito po? Ano ang detalles? Nandito po ang detalles ng issue ng the province of Sulu. To my brothers and sisters, mga tausug dyan po sa Sulu, nandito po ang balita para sa inyong lahat. Listen carefully. The heading of this news article presented or reported by ABS-CBN is Marcos Jr. declared Sulu part of Zamboanga Peninsula po. No longer part of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Alright, nandito po ang detalles. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has declared the province of Sulu under Zamboanga Peninsula or Region 9. This comes almost a year since the Supreme Court upheld the validity of the Bangsamoro Organic Law and ruled that the province is not part of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM after the province rejected the law's ratification. In the Executive Order 91, released by Malacanang, it stated that there is an urgent need to effectively implement and address the impact of the Supreme Court's decision, including Sulu's regional affiliation. It also emphasized the need to ensure that the uninterrupted governmental operations and delivery of essential government projects, programs, and activities within the province. The President directs the provincial government of Sulu, along with its component local government units and relevant national government agencies, to make all reasonable efforts to facilitate the phased and seamless transition. The Bangsamoro government and the provincial government of Sulu are also allowed to enter institutional arrangements for the implementation of programs, activities, and projects. Starting 2026, all programs, activities, and projects in the province will be fully implemented by government agencies, the provincial government of Sulu, and its local government units. A technical working group is also formed, chaired by the Secretary of the Department of Budget and Management with the Ministry of the Interior and Local Government, and the Secretary of the Department of the Interior and Local Government as co-chair and vice chair, respectively. Several cabinet members, officials of the Bangsamoro government and the governor of the province of Sulu are designated as members. The group is directed to oversee, monitor, and resolve issues and concern stemming from the implementation of the Supreme Court order and the resolution, and submit an annual report to the Office of the President through the Office of the Executive Secretary. It is also mandated to issue a transition plan within 60 days from effectivity of the order. Government personnel hired on a permanent basis who may be affected by the transition are given the option to apply for transfer to portion in ministries, offices, agencies under the BAM government, executive branch, departments, or in local government units, which is equivalent to their rank, level, or salary. Options to avail retirement and the separation benefits are laid out in the order for affected personnel with permanent appointments. However, those who retired and separated from the service are prohibited from re-employment in any agency of the executive branch for 5 years, except as teaching or medical staff in educational institutions and hospitals. If they are re-employed within this period, they shall refund their retirement, separation benefits, and additional separation incentives under Section 7 and 8 of this order on prorated basis. It's stated. So, yon po. Yon po ang magandang balita po para sa mga tao dyan po sa probinsya ng Sulu. Ibig sabihin, now the province of Sulu is under Region 9 and no longer member of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and Muslim Mindanao. Sulu province, the capital is Jolo. No? This is a Muslim populated province po. Malapit lang ito po sa Zamboanga City. If you go by boat from Zamboanga City to Sulu, I think it will only take you around roughly around 8 to 9 hours sea journey po. 9 hours. Overnight lang yan po. Sandali lang. So congratulations to the governor of Sulu, si Governor Sakurtan, and of course all the officers, elected officers of the province of Sulu, and we are looking forward better tomorrow for Sulu, for the people of Sulu province. Mga kapatid natin, Tausug po. Hindi lang mga Tausug doon po, although majority of them, mga locals are Tausug, but we have Visayas, people from Luzon, mga Tagalog, mga Zamboangueños, Ilocos, Ilocanos, mix na po dyan sa probinsya ng Sulu. And we hope with this kind of changes of administration po, no? We hope that Sulu will be a peaceful place. In fact, if you look at Sulu now, they are already promoting their tourism sector nila po. There's a lot of places, beautiful places in Sulu, which I believe not only the Filipinos from the other parts of the country would appreciate ang mga beaches nila po and other beautiful natural beauties of the province of Sulu po. So one day, I will go back to Sulu and enjoy the beauty of the province of Sulu. Alright. So, yun po ang balita na mayroon tayo. And the next information that I would like to share with you before going to our main topic po is regarding ang Malaysia. Regarding ang Malaysia. You know what? When we talk about the trade tariff imposed by America, United States of America, the directive or the policy, the program, tariff program, trade tariff program of President Donald Trump, no? Wherein everybody were given a certain percentage to pay when their goods enter United States po, they have to pay, no? Like for example, ang Philippines, no? Earlier, USA, America would like to impose a 20% tariff on all Philippine goods entering United States of America. But our President Bongbong Marcos, when personally accepted the invitation of President Donald Trump po for a 3-day visit po dyan po sa America, United States of America, just last week po, no? And discussed on or negotiated on the tariff, trade tariff po to be imposed to the Philippines, no? They managed to discuss successfully. In fact, President Trump described President Bongbong Marcos Jr. as a very tough negotiator po, negotiator. Because from 20%, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos managed to reduce from 20% tariff to be implemented August 1st, 2025. He successfully, and it was so significant according to Marcos administration, it was so significant that he managed to get a discount of 1%. Ibig sabihin po, from 20, now, goods coming from the Philippines, entering the Philippines, we have to pay only 19%. So significant, sabi ang presidente. I don't know, because earlier, last week, there were some official media reports po saying that it was not yet the final, and before August 31st, mayroon po announcement on the tariff percentage po, no? To be imposed to the Philippines. But hanggang ngayon po, we didn't see any news. So, ibig sabihin, the tariff will remain at 19%. 19%. Ang Indonesia managed to push it down to what? Also 19, right? Also 19. From 35, went down to 19. Ang Japan also managed to push it down, no? Very significant number of discounts po. Pilipinas, 1%. Now, of lately, na mayroon tayo dito po sa Malaysia, ang report regarding tariff, dyan po ni President Trump, from 25% earlier po, no? America wanted to impose 25% tariff to Malaysia. But it was announced just recently po, this week po, that Malaysia, under the leadership of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, managed to negotiate with the President Donald Trump. Instead of 25%, he managed to push it down to 19%. Hindi po 1%, 19%. From 25 to 19. Take note, Indonesia, Malaysia did not go and talk to President Donald Trump dyan po sa White House, sa Washington. Walang maraming gasto sila, but they managed to get a very good discount. While ang Pilipinas, I'm sorry to say, we had to spend a lot of money. The president has to go there with his entourage, and I don't know how much is the budget. And at the end of the day, we only managed to get 1% discount. Anyway, a discount is always a discount. A discount is always a discount. So, and this my discount. And this is my discount. And this is my discount po. Now, let me show you this footage po regarding the tariff discount Malaysia managed to convince and achieve from the United States of America. Nandito po. Let's listen to this.
Certainty that saw businesses hold back on orders
Hold on,
and delay investment decisions. Malaysia is now secured.
Hold on.
Certainty that saw businesses hold back on orders and delay investment decisions. Malaysia has now secured a lower tariff rate of 19% on its exports to the US, down from the 25% that had been threatened in July. Semiconductors and pharmaceuticals will continue to enjoy zero tariffs pending a US review later. Trade Minister Tengku Zafrul Aziz stressed that Malaysia held firm on its red lines, which included no dilution of halal standards and no blanket exemptions on import licenses or foreign ownership caps.
So overall, I think given the many things that we stood firm, we are quite happy that America understand our position. Could we explain why? Because of where we are in the country's development, the sensitivities and all that. And we also said that we need to continue to be competitive. We want the rate to be fair in the region with our other ASEAN neighbors. So I think we are quite satisfied, relatively speaking, where we are versus vis-a-vis our ASEAN partners.
The new tariff puts Malaysia on par with some of its neighbors, though it remains almost double the 10% baseline that applies to most other countries.
It's now more equal in the sense that we are in the level playing field. So I think that's important for how Malaysia would position or reposition ourselves in this global supply chain. The global trade fragmentation, trade war are still very much alive. You can still see that China has not struck a deal with USA. The geopolitical tensions are still there. Regional wars are happening, so there will still be quite a fair bit of uncertainty.
Analysts say the outcome highlights the decisive role of that last-minute phone call between Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim and President Donald Trump just before the August 1st deadline. They say the government also needs to upgrade industries, diversify export markets, and make the economy less vulnerable to external shocks like these tariffs.
The structural situation is such that we need to move basically from the so-called legacy factors in terms of the segments that we have into the more advanced areas. In addition to that, we are very well plugged into the multilateral system. We have, of course, very strongly the RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, and of course the CPTPP.
Now, this lower tariff may give exporters some breathing space, but the pressure is now on Malaysia to strengthen its position in the global supply chain. For many businesses, the real challenge begins now, finding ways to stay competitive in an increasingly uncertain trade environment. Afif Arifin, CNA, Kuala Lumpur.
All right, that's it. Congratulations to Malaysia po. From 25% to down to 19% lang po. That's what they got. Managed to negotiate with United States po. With United States. Congratulations po. And Malaysia is one country who is rapidly, we say rapidly going up po in terms of developments po, in terms of trading. We have trading, Philippines and Malaysia po, especially dyan po sa Mindanao. But the trading is, I would say, imbalanced trading po between Sabah, which is part of Malaysia, and Mindanao po. Maybe because of the exchange rate, and maybe because of we do not have enough facilities to ease the movements of goods from Mindanao to Sabah po. In fact, we have some ferry services dito po from Zamboanga to Sandakan, but it is only for passengers and not for cargo. We have, also have some trade understanding with Mindanao, but we don't have enough transportation, sea transportation po to bring in and out ang goods from the Philippines to Sabah po. So infrastructure-wise, facility-wise po, medyo nahirapan po. That's why apart from the exchange rate, peso to ringgit, we are experiencing a long time ago until now po, we are experiencing imbalance of trading between Sabah and Mindanao, or even including dyan po sa Palawan. Alright? So, okay, let's go to the main topic natin po. Tungkol kay Dante Marcoleta. Lagot kayo lahat ngayon po dahil si Senator Marcoleta is one person and chairing the Blue Ribbon Committee po. Hindi siya napili po kung sino po, no? As long as he will do his job as a responsible, committed, sincere chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee, and as a senator po, he doesn't care whether who will or he will cross the path of anybody po. You be a rich person, a poor one, a politician, or whatever, no? He's more than willing to face anybody po when performing his duty as a responsible senator po. And as a responsible, sincere, sabihin natin, chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee. Kaya nga, ingat-ingat lang tayo po, no? Ingat-ingat lang tayo po. And yun mga tao, yun mga tao po, no? Doing hanky-panky business po. Kasi once Marcoleta will do the investigation po, I think you are going to have a difficult time. And we are very happy, mga Filipinos po, majority of us, we are very happy na nandyan po ngayon si Senator Dante Marcoleta, and we hope Senator Dante Marcoleta will not disappoint us. And I'm sure he will not disappoint us. But there are some people questioning, bakit si Senator Marcoleta elected as the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee? Bakit? Is there something wrong? Why? Is it because he's a neophyte senator? Hindi siya pwede magiging or give him a serious position po? Holding a serious position in the Senate committees? Yun ba ang rason po? But first of all, let me tell you, or let me share you a footage which I already shared with you yesterday during my Nick Talk, the Real Talk with Nico, ang July or August 2nd na episode natin. Let me repeat again, share again this video clip sa inyo. And this involved Senator Jinggoy Estrada po talking about Senator Marcoleta being the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee. Nandito po. Let's listen first to this, and then we'll go to other issues.
Senator Marcoleta is highly qualified to head that committee. He being a lawyer, tanggalin mo na yung opposition siya. Sa aking palagay, o sa aking palagay, he is highly qualified to hold that post, to hold that committee.
Magiging patas lang siya.
He is fair. With all due respect, si Senator Marcoleta is fair.
Kasi pagkaalala niya, siya lang bang neophyte senator na nag-get?
Yeah, sa tagal ko dyan Senado, this is the first time that a neophyte senator in an opposition at that ay hinawakan ng Blue Ribbon Committee.
Dapat ba,
Pero wala naman sa rules ng Senado na hindi pwede ibigay sa isang neophyte senator.
So, meron pa bang ibang express ng interest sa BRC?
Wala naman sa Blue Ribbon. Wala naman. It was previously held by Senator Pia. Yeah, he requested it.
so wala na ganun?
Wala naman.
Pero yung pag-request niya, pagbigay ng Blue Ribbon, hindi kapalit ng pagsuporta ng Duterte.
Walang kapalit siya. Walang kapalit. There's no truth to that.
Pero sa dami pag nalasalita si PBTM na gusto niyo may bisigahan yung sa corruption, sa mga flood control projects, dapat mag-initiate na agad.
Baka maimbestigan ni Senator Marcoleta yan motu proprio. Yes. It does not need a resolution.
So, sa tingin niyo dapat yun ang unahin ni Marcoleta?
Palagay ko. At meron akong mga narinig na baka imbestigahan na rin ni Senator Marcoleta.
Moto proprio na.
Yes, motu proprio. Hindi yung mga flood control projects, saka yung tubig. Kung ano yung sinabi ni Pangulong Marcos, kung ano yung binanggit ni Pangulong Marcos sa
Pwede ba maging sakit na ulo ng leadership at ng Marcos
Hindi naman. It's just and fair.
So, sa tingin niyo, mahusay niyang naimbestigahan yung issue ng corruption sa flood control, considering na naging congressman din siya talaga yun.
Mas lalong maganda, marami siyang alam.
Yung mga concept maraming alam sa flood control.
Hindi ko alam. Tanungin mo lang si Senator Marcoleta.
Sa Senate ba, meron din?
Wala. Hindi ko alam. I don't think so.
Sir, tingin niyo, the minority bloc now being led by Tito Sen.
Loud and clear po ang statement ni Senator Jinggoy Estrada po regarding kay Marcoleta. He strongly believes that Senator Marcoleta, being the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee, will be fair and just in carrying out his duties and responsibilities as the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee po. Klarong-klaro yan po. And I suppose a lot of us support this statement of Senator Jinggoy Estrada po. Okay, medyo nagalit, o hindi may nagalit, no? But reacted si Senator Marcoleta po when he heard the interview of Karen Davila sa television niya po, sa program niya. Head Start. The title of her program is Head Start po. She was interviewing Chis Escudero, Senate President Chis Escudero earlier. And one of the questions raised by Karen Davila is on the election of Senator Marcoleta being the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee po. Blue Ribbon Committee. First thing first, I will share you a portion of the interview of Karen Davila po. And after that, I'm going to share with you a video clip ang reaction ni Senator Marcoleta. And after that, kayo na bahala po. Anong mga opinion ninyo, mga observations ninyo, or whatever. Kasi itong Nico, the Real Talk with Nico, we are here, or I'm here, to share with you ang mga updates po and what is happening dyan po sa Pilipinas, so that mga kababayan natin po dito sa Malaysia, kababayan natin po, especially mga overseas Filipino workers, Filipino migrants, sa ibang parte ng mundo po, outside the Philippines po, if you watch my program, now you will be enlightened, you will be informed on what's happening po dyan sa Pilipinas. Maybe not all, at least yun mga importanteng updates lang po, importanteng notisya lang po. So nandito po, let's watch and listen to a portion of the interview of Karen Davila to Senate President Chis Escudero. Asan na yun po? 148. Let's listen to this. Okay? Sandali, Alright, hold on.
Uncertainty that saw businesses hold back on orders and delay investment decisions.
Alright,
Malaysia is now secured
hold on. Andito po.
Newcomer Senator Marcoleta, who scored very strongly in the Senate race, but he's a newcomer, and I don't think historically a newcomer's ever been given the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee.
no? I mean, it doesn't mean he'll do a bad job, not at all. But it's a surprise to many that a newcomer is the chairman of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. And some have said it was your way to essentially court and win over the bloc. What are your thoughts? How did that happen?
Again, Karen, that's par for the course because I think these accusations were raised during the campaign for Senate presidency. Senator Marcoleta is not a newcomer. In the Senate perhaps, but not in the House. Nakasama ko si Senator Marcoleta nung nasa Kamara pa lamang ako. So he's been in Congress for quite some time. He's a litigator, he's a practicing lawyer, and I think neophyte or not, he will do a good job as the Blue Ribbon Committee chairperson and raise the flag of the institution through his stewardship of this committee. For me, Karen, hindi naman kapansanan ng pagiging bago eh. Hindi rin lamang yung pagiging matanda na. Pantay-pantay lang kaming lahat sa Senado, bago man o luma, matagal man o ngayon lang. We are all senators elected by the people and we have one vote each. Hindi mas maraming boto yung veterano ha. Hindi kalahating boto yung bago at bata. We all have the same votes and I think it would be unfair, to say the least, na maliitin yung kakayanan ng bago, ng bata at sabihing mas may kakayanan. Automatic yung mas nakatatanda o mas matagal nang nanilbihan.
Thank you very much, Senate President Nachis Escudero, for making very clear to Karen Davila po ang sitwasyon, ang question ni Karen Davila po regarding the issue of electing Senator Rodante Marcoleta as the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee. Is it called for ang question ni Karen Davila? For me po, in fact, it's not an issue po, no? To ask, why a neophyte? Why a neophyte po? Is there something to do with knowing the fact si Karen Davila, knowing the fact that Marcoleta during the hearing of ABS-CBN po, Marcoleta was the D-man, who really exposed and fought for the cancellation of the license of ABS-CBN po. During the Blue Ribbon Committee dyan po sa Senado. Remember that? Now, this time around, I will share with you ang reaction ni Senator Dante Marcoleta during his program po dyan po sa Net25. Let's listen to the side, to the reaction of Senator Rodante Marcoleta to the issue, yung question ni Karen Davila, why a neophyte was elected, put there as the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee. Nandito po. Let's listen to this.
Mabalik tayo doon. Meron silang kasanayan. May direksyon ang kanilang bawat hakbang at kampanya na gagawin. Hindi kagaya ng mga ibang mga nasa television. Napakadali kasi ng trabaho nila eh. Ang trabaho lang nila magtanong eh. At saka magparatang. Pero kahit kailan itong mga ito, hindi pa sila nalagay sa kalagayan na sila naman ang tinatanong. Nako. Di ba? Parang nahihinuya ako na. Kasi tinangga ako na ipatawag. Nanonood doon sa ABS-CBN hearing nung kanyang renewal. Ayaw pumunta. Magaling lang sila, mag-imbita na sila pagtatatanungin ka sa programa nila. Pero pag sila inimbita mo... Yung mga anchor ba tinutukoy nyo, Sen? Mga anchor din ba? Anchor ba yung tawag doon? Anchor po ang tawag doon. Broadcaster, announcer. Yan, yung mga yan. Nang kanilang napag-aralan lang at nagkaroon ng kasanayan, ayaw magtatanong ka lang. Pero alam mo, pati pagtatanong alam mo may pagka-personal Kasi kung ikaw anchor ka dyan, kailangan mabigyan natin ng konting emphasis ito. Pag anchor ka at ang tinatalakay mo yung sinasabi nating public affairs, makikinabang ang tao dito Sapagkat lalong-lalo na kung alam nilang ikaw ay
matagal na dyan sa profession na yan. At kilalang kilala ka eh.
Opo naman, oo.
Mapagkakamalang ka na napakagaling mo. Depende sa mga taong kinakausap mo, di ba?
Opo, oo.
Ibig sabihin, naniniwala sila sa iyo. Nagkakaroon sila ng paniniwala na maaaring lahat ng naririnig nila, lalo na sa pagtalakay mo ng mga issues, nakakaon sila ng mga batayang impormasyon na nakapagbibigay sila ng iba yung kaalaman.
Pumultin sa isipan ng tao.
Leo, pananagutan mo bilang anchor na huwag ka maging bias, ano? Kailangan kailangan objective ka para hindi mo mailigaw ang tao sa paniwala na dahil nga sa pagtatanong mo, akala mo yung taong pinararatakan mo, akala mo'y ganon.
Oo, tama.
Kapag hindi ka objective, pag hindi ka nasa gitna, hindi ka dapat nandun eh. Sa akin lang. Sa akin lang. Kasi ang responsibilidad mo, napakalaki. Kumbaga public property ka na eh.
Totoo.
Naniniwala sa'yo, nakikinig sa'yo ang tao.
Tama.
Kasi kung sino-sino lang halimbawa, biglang gumawa ng programa si Saito. Di ba?
Opo, oo.
Palagay ko, hindi naman magagalit sa atin si Saito. Baka walang makinig kay Saito eh. Mga tatlo siguro nakikinig. Pero sila, halos pag nakitang ganyan, nakikita mo talagang makakapag-influence.
Mga followers po talaga.
May followers sila.
Opo.
Kaya kailangan maging objective ka o kaya ipakita mo na pwede kang maging independent-minded. Yun ang tungkulin mo. Sa ganung paraan, ang tao makikinabang.
Opo.
Pero halimbawa, kunwari si Nelson, congressman. Bakit naman si Nelson inilagay sa
Sa isang probinsya.
sa Committee on Sports?
Oo.
Ano naman alam na yung mga ganon? Bakit mo
Side comment pa.
Bakit mo naman miminosin naman ang kakayanan? Ba't kilala mo ba si Nelson, si Congressman Nelson? Hindi mo ang kilala eh. Di ba?
Maaaring kilala sa pangalan, pero yung kasama kakayahan niya, baka hindi niya alam.
Tingnan mo yung balat ni Nelson. Hindi man maputi ka niya. Bakit nilagay mo sa sports?
Okay, sana, San, kung talagang tinitingnan lang yung qualification. Pero kung may mga nauna pang pangyayari, ang tanong ay, paano nanalo yung taong yan?
Yun na nga eh. Sa umpisa pa lang, hindi mo na napakita na ikaw ay may kakayahang maging objective. Yung walang personalan, doon kakikilalanin ng tao eh.
Opo.
Doon nila makikita na meron silang pakikinabangan sa bahagi ng iyong palatuntunan. Pero ang timano na ipakita mo, na bias ka sa tao na yon,
Pinipersonal mo kagad.
paano mo pa siya mapapaniwala na yung pagtalakay mo sa isang issue na yan
Ay, objective. Hindi na. Wala na yun.
wala na eh. Oo.
Ang problema ko doon, gumagamit siya ng ibang tao. Baka iniisip niya, magsalita ng hindi maganda, yung ini-interview niya doon sa mga pinatutungkulan niya, Sen. May ganun eh. Leading questions. So,
Kung mapapansin mo naman, yung anchor na yun, kahit minsan,
okay,
di man lang niya ako tinawag sa programa niya. Kung sino-sino na lang, hindi ko naman minamaliit yung mga taong nakausap niya na paulit-ulit na eh. Siguro yung mga iba 10 beses niya nang nakapanayam. Pero ako na mismo. Ako nakikita ko, anino ko lang, natatakot na yun eh. Yun.
Alright. Yun po. Hindi mali na, Senator Marcoleta. Hindi mali na. Kalimutan na natin yun na mga tao, mga nasa media po, bias, no? Mga bias. And ang importante dyan, mga tao po, we believe that you are the right person to head ang sabihin natin Blue Ribbon Committee ng Senado po based on your sabihin natin qualification. And we have seen kung paano, how concerned you are sa ang buhay ng mga Pilipino, ang bayan natin po. Kalimutan na natin yun po. Mayroon talaga yung mga tao ganyan. They don't know much about somebody, yet they will be questioning. Questioning ang credibility ba, ang pagkatao po. But they don't know really kung sino yung tao po. may mga agenda sila, selfish motives, may mga agenda sila siguro, kaya nga, ganon po. But anyway, kung nasa media tayo, dapat nasa gitna tayo. Yan ang importante dyan po, no? Ang importante dyan na let us not be biased when performing our duties and responsibility as the watchdog of the government. Kasi kung bias tayo po, mahirap na po. Alright? So, yun po. Ano lang po, no? Ang one thing I would like to pass this message sa programa ko po kay Senator Dante Marcoleta. Don't worry, Senator Dante Marcoleta. Nandyan kami po. We are supporting. We are supporting you po. And no need to prove to her or kung sino man po, no? Because when Dante or Senator Marcoleta, si Sen Marcoleta was giving his statement, he did not mention kung ang pangalan ng tao po he is referring. But obvious na yan po, di ba? It is very obvious na. It is very obvious. And anyway, sige lang, forget it na. Do your job and we are going to support you. Ang mga Filipino po, majority of us will be supporting you po. Will be supporting you and looking forward for, yun na po, maganda ang performance ninyo. Alright, the next topic I'm going to touch is, yun na, tungkol, naging issue din ito po sa Pilipinas. Dumating ang bagyo, natural calamities, dumating ang State of the Nation address ni President Bongbong Marcos when he mentioned about projects, ghost projects, mga kickbacks, no? Corruption activities po, ghost projects po, no? And both sa flood mitigation programs at saka infrastructure programs natin being implemented or has already implemented dyan sa Pilipinas po, pero marami pang question mark. Kaya nga si President Bongbong Marcos is not happy with this situation and is asking the authorities concerned or department concerned to submit him itong mga reports and he wants to know sino-sino and he will address the problem. His will be rolling, sabi ni President Bongbong Marcos, and to the extent that he will even publish it publicly ang mga names of the people involved in these unhealthy activities po. Healthy activities. Okay, I'll give you a very good example or one example po. Ngayon po, issue na ito po sa Pilipinas. Let's listen to the interview of newly elected mayor, si Mayor Isko Moreno, ang mayor ng Manila po, ng Manila. Nandito po. I will share with you this footage and again, kayo nang bahala po kung anong opinion ninyo po. Sandali, ha? Saan na yun? Nandito po. Let's listen to this. Hold on.
Itong palutang ulit ng issue na ito. Meron po kayong pinag-iba ng barangay hall dyan sa may Santa Cruz, Manila. Ang sinasabi sa mga balita, kaya nyo po pinag-iba dahil walang permit at parang nakaharang, tama po ba, sa sidewalk ng isang eskwelahan. Mayor, gano'n nakatagal, nakatayo yung pinag-iba po ninyo na barangay hall at kailan nyo lang nalaman na wala po palang permit yan?
Yun po, dala nang nagre-reklamo sa akin yung kasagsagan ng kampanya. Hindi ko naman alam, dati kasi nung mayor ako, wala naman yun. 3 taon ako nawala. Nung nananampanya, sumulat sa akin yung mga magulang ng eskwela, teacher, at saka mga alumni. Di nung natanggap ko yung sulat, pinunta ako, pasensya ka naman talaga. Agree mo gate ng eskwelahan. Tinayuan ng 4 na palapag. Alam mo, anong lapat, manong ted, kasi lapat ng bangketa, nasa bangketa. Ayun. Tapos, nagalkal din ako. Salamat sa Diyos. Sabi ko sa engineer, sabi ko, tingnan nyo nga, may building permit ba yan? And so on and so forth. Kasi, roads, alleys, and boulevards, space, no, manong ted. Beyond the commerce of man, may mali na kagad. Bukod sa reklamo ng mga magagawin, permit ba na? Wala. Yun, tinuro ko kasi. Yun nga po. Hindi ba meron din siya pakakasala yung kapitan mismo na pumaya at saka yung city engineer? wala pong hindi po dumaan sa local government. Let me be clear. Ito ang maganda, Manong Ted. Tumayo yun, may mayor noon, tumayo yun nang walang alaman lahat ng taong gobyerno. All of a sudden.
Sandali lang. Hindi naman po yan pwedeng maitayo. Kapag lamang ng overnight, di ba?
Exactly. Kaya ngayon, sabi ko, masadrugin niyo yan. Hanapin ninyo kung sino may pananagutan, bakit yan umuspong.
So,
Particular na barangay na yan.
Opo, Mayor, alam niyo, klaro po yan na malfeasance, misfeasance, and non-feasance.
Yes.
So, may criminal liability po ang mga taong gobyerno na may kagagawan yan.
Yes.
So, yes, ano pong ating aasahan, Mayor? Opo.
Pinapapanagot po namin sila.
Okay.
First things first, we're trying to clear the roads, there is a complaint. Then, sila po ay sinisiyasat po ngayon na mapapanagot. Kasi sila mga taong gobyerno.
Saan galing ang pera, ang pondo? Magkano ginastamp? Saan galing ang pondo para may patayo yan?
Kasi po, mayroon pong pangalan ng congressman doon dati. Nung nagpadila kami ng notice, biglang tinanggal yung pangalan ng congressman. Hindi po namin alam kung pera ni congressman o pera ng DPWH o pera ng taong bayan.
Sinong congressman yun?
Joel Chua po.
Ay, hindi namin natanong kanina. No? Sir Art, di ba, baka sa Monday matanong namin siya. So, Mayor, si Congressman ba, saan galing yung pera? Anong balita nyo? Saan galing? Magkano ginasta niya? Kasi sayang po pera ng bayan, di kung pera ng bayan.
Wala po kami idea kung magkano ginastos silang pera. Pero 4 na palapag, yung nipis ng bangketa, siyang nipis ng building.
Alright, yan po, no? Yan po ang statement ni Mayor, Yorme, Yorme ng Manila po, ang Mayor ng Manila, si Mayor Isko Moreno. In other words, he's being fondly called as Yorme po, si Yorme. So mayroon yung building doon, they erected a building, barangay hall yan po, sa 5-foot way. No business permit, no building permit, no nothing. And rumor says that it is, 9 million something, a building? Or is it 9 million or 19 million? Hindi akong sigurado. But anyway, I will try to check po. 9 million or 19 million. Something po. And what Yorme did now, when he sat as the new mayor of Manila, he directed to demolish the building. Halfway na yata ngayon po, no? Almost finished na po, demolish it. And as what he said, he will be filing charges against these people involved sa illegal construction of this structure po. Itong barangay hall, malapit, barangay building, dikit sa eskwelahan po. Dikit sa eskwelahan. Whose project was that? As what the mayor of Manila mentioned, it is the project or with the blessing of no other than the congressman of Manila, si Congressman Joel Chua. Siya yata po ang House of Representatives Appropriation Committee Chairman. I don't know. I will check on that thing po. So yan po. Ibig sabihin, mayroon talaga kalokohan po. No? And sige lang. I hope the President will get this report and let's see what he will do. No? He will do po. Kasi congressman involved dito eh. Hindi lang ang congressman ng ano ba yan, district congressman si Joel 6 ba yun? Mayroon pa yata yun District 2 sa Manila o District 3. Mayroon din problema po na discover si Mayor Isko Moreno. Right? So finally, before I will end up this episode natin po, I suppose you know about Maharlika, ang vlogger po. Very, very vocal, aggressive itong si Maharlika. No? Maharlika po. Si Claire, Madam Claire po. dyan po sa States po. Very vocal, vocal against the administration of Bongbong Marcos. Before, she was a supporter of Bongbong Marcos, but she was not happy with what is happening or what had happened during the early days of Bongbong Marcos. So, he went against all for the love of the Philippines. Si Maharlika po. Let's listen to this po. Before we end this program, tungkol ang issue ni Madam Hanilet, ang common law wife ni Tatay Digong, at saka ang si Attorney Nicholas Kaufman po, ang counsel ni Tatay Digong po dyan po sa case sa International Criminal Court. So let's listen to this po.
Bayan, alam ni Attorney Knox kung ano ang status ni Harry Roque. I was there. Sinabi ni Harry Roque na I am an asylum seeker. Inaantay ko na ito nilatag lahat yan ni Harry Roque. In the first place, Kaufman. The reason why kaya nandyan si Harry Roque sa Netherlands dahil number 1, pinapunta siya ni Pangulo Duterte, ay ni Inday Sara, na another number 1, kaya siya nagkaroon ng ganyang kaso dahil sa Bangat Marcos administration at kakatanggol ni Harry Roque sa mga Duterte. Isaksak mo yan sa utak mo at ang mga kasabwat mong Alpotera. Sabihin nila, oh Marlica, binabanatan mo na abogado ni Sara. So what? I have freedom of speech? Hindi ako bayad ni Inday Sara? Para what? Kung ano yung opinion ni Inday Sara, yun din ang opinion ko. Kung ano ang opinion ng mga alpot, yun daw opinion. Excuse me. Sabi ka ni Harry Roque, Maharlika is Maharlika. You cannot tell her what to say and what to do. Kaya kahit sinong kumausap kay Harry, kayo kumausap kay Maharlika, kung makikinig sa inyo yun. I am fighting for what is right. I am fighting na ma-release ang Pangulong Duterte. Bakit ngayon tinitira ni Kaufman si Hanilet? Sa pagtira niya kay Hanilet, although hindi pinangalanan, tinitira niya rin ang isang anak na si Kitty. Walang vested interest si Hanilet. Ang interest ni Hanilet at interest ng mga Duterte, makalaya ang Pangulong Duterte. Paano magkaroon ng vested interest si Hanilet? Hindi naman siya si Alpotera. O baka magulat na lang tayo, Kaufman. Papasukin mo na si Alpotera. Kasi tandaan niyo to, ikaw Kaufman, eto tandaan mo to. Huwag mong gagawin. Nasasabotahin si Hanilet. Ibubuking ka namin dito. Ako na ang magbubuking. I have information right now, pero mag-hold muna ako. Hindi ako nanininda. Kailangan malaman ng taong bayan. Di ba recently, walang visit si Hanilet? Tignan natin. Ako hindi ako makampi kay Hanilet. Kasi ang kinakampihan ko, ang buong Duterte, I don't care sa kanilang family feud kung meron man. Wala akong pakialam sa kanilang differences. Which is, ang alam ko, sinabi ni Inday Sara, ang napakagandang nangyari sa panggigipit ni Marcos Jr. ay nagbuklod-buklod silang magpamilya o At yun ang pinaka-happiest moment ko nung narinig ko yun. I was there sa harap ni Inday at ni Kitty at ni Hanilet. So ako dito, mga kababayan, hindi ako pwedeng tumango lang at nagpapaniwala dito sa written interview na ito na scripted. Pakita mo Chipmunk at Kaufman. Ikaw Kaufman, ipakita nyo yung communication ninyo. Paano nag-start itong interview na to? Alam yan ng mga journalist. Even lawyers, you know this, right? Hindi ka naman pwedeng magre-release ako, ayan, written interview. Paano nagsimula yan? Saan yung letter of intent for sa ni Chipmunk na nagkaroon siya ng interest na magkaroon ng interview si Kaufman? Sino nag-initiate? Huwag tayo maglokohan dito, putang ina. Di ba? Huwag tayong maglokohan, Kaufman. Ilabas mo. I challenge you. If you're really a good lawyer for President Duterte, ilabas mo. Spokesari yan, i-challenge mo yan. Ilabas mo ang communication ng Chipmunk. Paano nag-start itong kaputahang written conversation na inatake si Hanilet, inatake si Harry Roque. By now, dapat ang pamilyang Duterte ay, i-eject na yan si Kaufman. Okay, sabi dito, sayang.
Alright, yan po, narinig ninyo po ang salita ni vlogger Maharlika po. Maharlika, tungkol sa issue yan po ni Kaufman, ang lawyer ni Tatay Digong po. And yung visitation rights na cancel ang scheduled visitation of Madam Hanilet, ang common law wife of Tatay Digong po, dahil sa issue. So instead of sabihin natin defending si si Hanilet, Madam Hanilet, the way si Mahardika is explaining parang na put down pa kay Hanilet at saka kay Attorney Harry Roque. So she was not happy, and narinig niyo po bakit. And this is the outcome po. She was also emotionally carried over siguro po. And that's how she spoke during her program po, just recently, sa blogging, sa social media po. So, siguro hanggang dito na lang po ang programa natin Sunday ngayon. Dapat mag-rest tayo Sunday, August 3rd. And then tomorrow, yes, busy tayo po, August 4 na. And ilang tulog na lang, we are waiting for August 6. Dahil sa August 6 po, we will cover again ang session ng Senado po, because they will be discussing about the issue of the impeachment trial of Inday Sara Duterte. Whether the Senate will dismiss the whole thing or they will continue po. Let's see, and wait until August 6, that will be on Wednesday. So, hanggang dito na lang ang programa natin, Nick Talk, the Real Talk with Nico. Once again, si Nico Fabian would like to say thank you very much for making me a part of your day today. Malaysia, Sabah, the Philippines. God bless us all, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.